Biological augmentation uses organisms to add essential materials to degraded ecosystems. And we've talked a lot about nitrogen-fixing plants. They can increase the available nitrogen in soil. Exploring restoration. So this is rather a new field for ecology, and it requires ecologists to consider alternative solutions and to adjust approaches. So here is exploring restoration worldwide. So this is in Nevada, Florida, Costa Rica, South Africa, the Rhine River in Europe, New Zealand, and Japan. So here's the Truckee River in Nevada after 9 years of control flow release. So damming and water diversions during the 20th century reduced flow in this river, leading to declines in riparian forests next to a river. Restoration ecologists worked with water managers to ensure that sufficient water would be released during the short season of seed release by the native cottonwood and willow trees for seedlings to become established. So 9 years of controlled flow release led to the results here: a dramatic recovery of cottonwood willow riparian forest. Kissimmee River, Florida, canal back to meandering river. The Kissimmee River was converted from a meandering flow to a 90-kilometer canal, threatening many fish and wetland bird populations. So Kissimmee River restoration has filled 12 kilometers of drainage canal and reestablished 24 kilometers of the original 167 kilometer of natural river channel. So this is the section of Kissimmee Canal that has been plugged, the wide light strip on the right side of the photo, diverting flow into remnant river channels in the center of the photo. So the project will also restore the natural flow regime, which will foster self-sustaining populations and fish. Tropical dry forest, Costa Rica. Clearing for agriculture, mainly for livestock grazing, eliminated approximately 98% of tropical dry forests in Central America and Mexico. Reversing this trend, tropical dry forest restoration in Costa Rica has used domestic livestock to disperse the seeds of native trees into open grasslands. This photo shows one of the first trees, right center, dispersed as seed by livestock to colonize former pasture land. This project is a model for joining restoration ecology, economy, and educational institutions. The Rhine River in Europe. Centuries of dredging and channeling for navigation. See the barges in the wide main channel on the right side of the photo have straightened the once meandering Rhine River and disconnected it from its floodplain and associated wetlands. The countries along the Rhine, particularly France, Germany, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Switzerland, are cooperating to reconnect the river to side channels, such as the one shown on the left side of the photo. Such side channels increase the diversity of habitats available to aquatic biota, improve water quality, and provide flood protection. The succulent karoo in South Africa. In this desert region of southern Africa, as like other arid regions, overgrazing by livestock has damaged vast areas. Reversing this trend, private landowners and government agencies in South Africa are restoring large areas of this unique region, revegetating the land, and employing more sustainable resource management. The photo shows a small sample of exceptional plant diversity of the succulent karoo. Its 5,000 plant species include the greatest diversity of succulent plants of the world. Coastal Japan, restoration of seaweed and seagrass beds are important nursery grounds for a wide variety of fish and shellfish. Once extensive but now reduced by development, these beds are being restored in the coastal areas. Techniques include constructing suitable seafloor habitat, transplanting from natural beds, using artificial substrates, and that's what they're doing here. In New Zealand, Magataruari, whatever, weasels, rats, pigs, and others introduced species pose a serious threat to the native plants of New Zealand and animals, including the kiwi, which is a flightless ground-dwelling bird. The goal of this restoration project is to exclude all exotic mammals from a 3,500-hectare reserve located on a forested volcanic cone. A specialized fence around the reserve eliminates the need to continue setting traps and using poisons that can harm native wildlife. In 2006, a pair of critically endangered takali were released into the reserve in hopes of reestablishing a breeding population of this colorful bird on the island of New Zealand. The concept of sustainability helps ecologists establish long-term priorities. Sustainable development, the Sustainable Biosphere Initiative. So it meets the needs of people today without limiting the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So the goal of the Sustainable Biosphere Initiative is to define and acquire basic ecological information for responsible development and conservation of Earth's resources. So it requires connections between life, social sciences, economics, and humanities. So a case study: infant mortality and life expectancy at birth in Costa Rica. Costa Rica's conservation of tropical biodiversity involves partnerships between the government, other organizations, and private citizens. So human living conditions, infant mortality, life expectancy, literacy rate in Costa Rica have improved, okay, along with ecological conservation. The future of the biosphere. Our lives differ greatly from the early cave paintings 36,000 years ago, a 30,000 year ago ivory carving of a water bird found in Germany, and biologist Carlos Rivera Gonzalez examining a tiny free frog in Peru. So this is biophilia past and present. So our behavior reflects remnants of our ancestral attachment to nature, okay, and diversity. Sense of connection to nature, realignment of environmental priorities. So again, we are back to this diagram which we saw in the beginning. Genetic diversity, source of variations that enable populations to adapt to environmental change. Species diversity, important in maintaining structure of communities and food webs, and ecosystem diversity provide life-sustaining services such as nutrient cycling and waste decomposition. 3 levels of biodiversity. So here showing how we can do this: intact forest, agricultural field, reserve, intact forest, pasture. Now you should be able to distinguish between conservation biology and restoration biology. List the 3 major threats to biodiversity and give an example of each. Define and compare the small population approach and the declining population approach. Distinguish between total size and the effective population size. Describe the conflicting demands that may accompany species conservation. Define biodiversity hotspots and explain why they are important. Define zoned reserves and explain why they are important. Explain the importance of bioremediation and biological augmentation of ecosystem processes and restoration efforts. Describe the concept of sustainable development and explain the goals of the Sustainable Biosphere